A Quiet Place Part 2 is the follow-up to 2018's breakout horror film, A Quiet Place, from director John Krasinski. And let me just tell you right off the bat, this film is amazing. Krasinski returns to take on an even greater role in the writing as well as directing, which is what I believe makes this film so successful. Krasinski has fully solidified himself as a highly skilled director and just a masterful storyteller. The film continues the story right where the first film left off. But first, we're given a flashback to day one of the events that this world was thrown into. And I can honestly say that this is one of the greatest opening sequences I've ever seen in a film. After which we're dropped right back into the story as the Abbotts step out of their familiar territory to seek help. Along the way, they encounter the reclusive and somewhat mysterious Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy. But the world is full of dangers, and maybe more than just monsters. One of the elements I think that makes this film so great is its world building. Everything in this film is just so believable. The decay of a world that's been ravaged and splintered is just so realistic, and the ways in which people react just make sense. Now, there's definitely been no shortage of post-apocalyptic stories that have come out in recent times, and I feel like A Quiet Place shares a lot of similarities with things like The Walking Dead and The Last of Us game series. And A Quiet Place doesn't really make any attempts to reinvent this genre, and I think that's actually a smart move. The film knows its audience well, and it makes assumptions on what we as the audience would already come to expect from a post-apocalyptic world. What kinds of things we might see, how they would look, and what kinds of people we'd come across in this world. And instead of diving into exposition of this world, it uses its time wisely to focus on the story. Now, as I said, this film is masterful, but when I first heard there was a sequel coming out to A Quiet Place, I was naturally a little hesitant. The sequels are hardly ever as good as their predecessors, and I feel like especially in the horror genre, there's kind of this need to one-up the previous film in terms of scares and scale, and that can sometimes lead to the story taking a bit of a backseat. But that is not the case with A Quiet Place Part 2. And while I do feel that this one is actually scarier than the first one, none of the story gets compromised at all. And I believe that's due to John Krasinski's storytelling and his wisdom in knowing exactly what it is that makes these films so great. The characters. Now see, both parts of A Quiet Place aren't actually about monsters terrorizing the earth or even survival. It's about a family, their relationship with each other, and their own internal struggles, and the alien invasion model is simply just a vehicle in which to tell that story. The first film isn't about monsters, it's about a father and a daughter being reconciled in the aftermath of a family tragedy. And likewise, Part 2 is about the children and their personal coming-of-age struggles. Now don't worry, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but one criticism a lot of people had with the film was with the ending of it. A lot of people said it was too abrupt. But following the true arc of the story and what it's actually about, I found it to be an incredibly satisfying resolution. And having this intentional focus on the characters actually enhances the scares. The stakes are so much higher because you care about what happens, and not just because you're sympathetic to their predicament, but because you're invested in their relationship and what this family means to each other. Now, I would definitely be remiss if I didn't mention the performances. Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy are both just amazing in this film as always, and they bring such a depth and a groundedness to the film. But the highlights are Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons, and they are just outstanding. And this really is their movie. Their presence and believability is some of the best that I've seen from young actors in the past few years. And of course, this is a horror film, and a very scary one at that. I was literally on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was so tense and uncomfortable in all the best ways. And huge praise to both the sound and the editing team for creating some truly suspenseful and terrifying moments. And there are times when characters are split in different places, and being able to cut back and forth between these different plots without losing any of the suspense is truly remarkable. So I can confidently say that this is probably my favorite movie of 2021 so far. So please go see A Quiet Place Part 2, and please, if you can, see it in theaters. Under John Krasinski's incredible direction, the story, the setting, and the suspense all come together to create a truly unforgettable movie experience. A sequel that is undoubtedly as good, if not better, than its predecessor. So A Quiet Place Part 2 very deservedly earns a 90%. Hey y'all, thanks again for checking out this film review. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, let me know what you thought about A Quiet Place Part 2. Go ahead and drop in the comments if you have any additions. If you agreed or disagreed with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film. Also, if there's any films that you'd like me to review, whether it's a film coming out this year or perhaps a film that's been out for a long time that you really enjoy and you'd like to get my feedback on as well. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos, and hit that bell if you want to be notified of whenever content is uploaded here on the channel. Thanks, y'all.